We are back. It is Colts Corner with myself, Kevin Bowen. A happy Thanksgiving week to everybody out there. Safe travels. We will do a Wednesday pod, but I know some people might not have a chance to get to that. So certainly safe travels. And Eddie and I greatly appreciate you and your listenership. Enjoy the time with family and friends. Pretty good Thursday Thanksgiving slate for the Colts. I'd say a good Friday game. Kind of crazy to think Bears and Eagles are both at 8-3 at this point in the season. Speaking of 8-3, that would be the Colts. And we will recap Colts and Chiefs here. It is Colts Corner with myself, Kevin Bowen. Eddie Garrison is across the way. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. I know you've been discussing Thanksgiving dishes, side dishes, desserts on the morning show the past week or so, 2 weeks even, I think. I haven't really been able to catch much of it. So what is your go-to or your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
Well, one that I have really grown to love.
Stuffing?
I must say, man. And again, I think I've shared this before. I got the palate of a third grader. Honestly, one of the best things about having kids is I can just eat the food they don't eat.
So chicken nuggets and mac and cheese?
Sure. Love it. But I have come around on the Thanksgiving meal. I still find it a bit odd that we have this obsession with turkey. I'm like, if it was this good, why don't we make it more during the year? But that's neither here nor there. So yes, I will go team stuffing. Yourself?
My mom's, why did I say mum? Mom's.
Sound like you were from Britain.
Yeah, I don't know. Like sweet potatoes with marshmallows on top.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
That
yeah.
sounds delicious. Can you send me that recipe?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I certainly can do that. I'll ask her. I don't know if she's allowed to share secrets, though.
Thanksgiving tastes maybe a little different for the Colts after yesterday. They lose in overtime. They blow a double-digit lead with the ball in the fourth quarter. I think that's probably where the root of the frustration lies, Eddie, is so much of what, if you would have told anybody at the start of the day, hey, you're going to be up 11 points with the ball. And, you think about it, Eddie, think about how the fourth quarter played out.
Mm-hmm.
They had a turnover. You didn't have a turnover.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't hit you with, like, the 70-yard punt return for a touchdown or the, whatever. Xavier Worthy hits an 80-yarder over the top on you, and you lose that game. I think that's where so much of the frustration lies. Obviously, it hurts you for a number one seed standpoint. Yes, as I said on last week's pod, if you want to weigh games, this Sunday matters more than this past one. But still, I get that, you circle Kansas City on the calendar. It's a game that means a lot to people. I totally understand all of that. So a lot to get to. Certainly Shane Steichen, Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor usage, the defensive play. But, yeah, that's probably just I'll start there a little bit overall. And it's just a shrinking AFC picture. If you look at it, Eddie, it's just it's starting to get a little tighter. And, New England wins yesterday. So now they're 10-2. And the Broncos, and if you look at New England's schedule, it's just a joke. Jacksonville's a game back. It's just wild to sit here and say, like, you might have the same record as Jacksonville coming up in a week. And even if you win on Sunday, Jacksonville's got, I believe, Tennessee this week. So you assume Jacksonville wins. If the Jags beat you a week from Sunday, they technically are in the AFC South lead. You'll have the same record, and they'll have won the first game, in that matchup. So it's just it's getting a little tight. You still are in a nice position, 8-3, a game up on the Jags, 2 games up on the Texans. One odd thing I wanted to point out, not odd thing, but I guess just thing to note about the AFC South standings, or I should say AFC standings right now, Eddie, before we get in the game. If you look at the playoffs right now, if it started today, 8, 9, and 10, a.k.a. the 3 teams right now outside of the playoffs, you've lost to 8, Pittsburgh. You've lost to 10, Kansas City. And then 9 is Houston. So if it starts to snowball at all in the negative direction, which, again, the Colts haven't had a losing streak all year long, but if it starts to, things could get dicey real quick. Now, you have had to head over Denver, but again, if Denver wins the West, it really isn't going to matter unless your records show up together. You do have the head-to-head over the Chargers, but again, they're at 7-4 right now. So if some of these teams outside looking in start to inch closer, those head-to-heads would not be there. So just items to keep an eye on.
As we break this one down, let's start with what you did not like since the Colts lost. And I think the biggest concern about this one was the approach of Shane Steichen. Kevin, how many times this year have we seen him go for it on 4th and shorts? And yesterday, he looked like a coach that was scared, timid, and was playing not to lose versus with the aggressive mindset of always playing to win. And a couple of those third and shorts are still head scratchers to me because how many times this year up until, yesterday against Kansas City have we seen a Tyler Warren quarterback sneak? Have we seen a Daniel Jones quarterback sneak? Instead, it felt like they were trying these slow developing runs and they all got blown up. And you just have to wonder, like I was wondering this a little bit on the two runs that Daniel Jones had. And I know I'm talking about Jones a lot here. He looked a little off, and I don't know how much of that fibula injury had to, went into that of, not moving him around in the pocket as much and not asking him to do a lot with his legs. But overall, Shane Steichen, not a great performance yesterday from the Colts head coach.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. I thought Steichen got away from Taylor. I also thought Daniel Jones was really poor. So I guess we'll start with Steichen as well. Who is Jonathan Taylor as a football player?
Your best player?
He's your best player. He's an elite home run hitter. He's a player that particularly thrives in the second halves in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And that's what I really want to focus on here. There is an approach with Taylor that a little bit of a boxing body blow sort of analogy, where when things can be a little tough sledding and maybe the boxes doesn't look too favorable, Taylor has a special trait to him. I point to that run in overtime even, Eddie. Ogletree is the first completion in overtime, and then Taylor runs it, and he's bottled up at the line of scrimmage there on that second down play, and he breaks a tackle, runs through a tackle, next thing you know, it's 3rd and 1. Like, Taylor has that trait. Go back to the Atlanta game in overtime. Remember when he makes Jesse Bates miss for the game winner? Remember when he makes Billy Bowman miss in the backfield on the fringe of field goal range? Again, that is kind of what makes him special, even when the numbers might not be totally favorable. Your ability to have a talent like that is why you just kind of do the Michael Jordan shrug at the end of the day and say, you know what? Players over plays. That's at times what Taylor has created. The numbers are obviously quite evident, but again, 7.5 yards per carry in the second half of games. It's nearly 3 yards better than the first half. Even if you take out the 80-yard runner in Germany, in the fourth quarter, he is still at 6 yards per carry. Even if you take away that run there. So I probably rank it in this light. I thought you got away from Taylor a bit. I'm not asking you to just pound him into the ground and just force the run like none other, but to me, 8 straight passes was egregious. I think it exposes Daniel Jones. I thought the amount of faith that Shane Steichen showed in Daniel Jones was quite odd. Now, again, also, you can expect Jones to be better. I want to point that out, too. And then lastly, I'm not a big clock-eating guy. Like, I do think there are moments in the game where it matters a whole lot. But the one drive I thought you could have ate the clock a little bit more was right when you got it back at midfield. When your defense got that stop, kind of a 3-and-out, and then you got the ball back at midfield with about 5 minutes to go, that was a drive where I thought, okay, if you are able to, A, run it or just burn clock, and then B, potentially get a first down or two, now you make Kansas City respect the clock. Kansas City never had to respect the clock.
Nope.
And so I think that was what was frustrating about it. I would say one of the more confusing sequences was the backed up one. You got backed up there early in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You run Taylor on first down, -2.
Mm-hmm.
2nd and 12, 3rd and 12. I thought that was one of the riskiest sequences I've seen all season. To me, when you call a pass play in those situations, I'm probably a loaded up in protection. Here you go, Alec Pierce. Please. Completion or incompletion.
Mm-hmm.
Or 50-yard interception. A la the Rams game. Like that sort of kind of chuck it down the field. But 2nd and 12, that ball gets tipped to the line of scrimmage, and I'm thinking that might be Latu all over again for Kansas City. And then 3rd and 12.
Good thing Nick Bolton wasn't looking.
Right. And then 3rd and 12, oh, man, they were fortunate. I was thinking safety there. With how much that pocket was collapsing there, I just thought that was playing with major fire. Like, I would have been content with the give-up call there.
Mm-hmm.
Run it with Taylor, get Rigoberto, 4 more yards out of the end zone, and let your special teams unit be elite. Because the special teams right now is elite. Like, I had no issue with them punting on 4th and 4 from midfield. I know Romo was really aghast about that. It's like, dude, Kansas City's offense has turned into check down Charlie. I don't know if they can drive, 60 yards right now. Plus, your special teams is going to pin them way, way back there. So again, I thought you got away from Taylor. Those drives ended up being a minute 2, a minute 10, and a minute 2. The 3 drives there in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to play the whole clock game. And, if you've got questions about Daniel Jones's health, which you brought up earlier, Eddie, I don't know. I feel like I'm judging Miles Turner's gait run coming out of Texas. There were a couple scrambles, and like when he jogged into halftime even, I'm kind of like, ugh.
Mm-hmm.
But then there were a couple times he also ran. I was like, oh, he looks fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know. And I guess just to clarify with everything on that, ended up being a fibula. He took every rep on Friday at their final practice of the week. So, yeah, there is so much that I like about Shane Steichen as a play caller. And I'm not this one that says, again, Jonathan Taylor, you must treat it like it's whatever, Miles McLaughlin at Knox High School. But I do think, given his talent, given his second half and fourth quarter pedigree, there is a bit of we need 10 touches after halftime for this guy. We need 12 touches after halftime for this. Whatever you deem that number is. And again, it might not be the prettiest thing in the world. But to quote Chuck Pagano, it's chopping down the tree. And you never know. You never know when 3rd and 1 becomes a 27-yard gain. Those plays are in there. And he's that type of talent.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'd like to have seen him more involved. Now, let's transition to Jones because, Eddie, as much as Steichen, I thought, should have given it to Taylor a little more, I thought Jones was terrible. I thought he was awful. What Shane Steichen told us by allowing Daniel Jones to throw the ball 8 straight times, he told us he believed in him. He told us he had confidence in him. And I couldn't tell you how many times I wrote down on my notes, big drive opportunity, big drive opportunity, big drive opportunity. All these and again, these are big drive opportunities, Eddie, not to score. Sure, If you score, it's great. But, I'm just talking, get a first down or two. You get a first down or two, we're probably talking about a 9-2 football team. So we're not talking you're down 3, you're down 4, it's tied, you're down 7. None of those drives, none of that pressure. It was just a possess the ball, get a first down or two, and that might be enough. And so that's where I kind of exit Sunday, think to myself this. Steichen v. Jones. What are you more concerned about?
I think it's Daniel Jones.
I'm nodding my head.
Just because
Steichen, you can theoretically control. Shane Steichen can wake up today and say, what, Eddie? I should have given the ball more to Jonathan Taylor. That's on me.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones can say, it's on me. He can say whatever. But when Daniel Jones goes back out in that same situation, who knows? The volatility of him as a player is there. That's less controllable. Again, Steichen can control some of the play calls.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones as a player executing is not controllable.
Yeah.
So that, to me, and let's be real, I mean, the dropped interception, can you imagine how that would have unfolded there?
I still don't know what you saw. There were 3 of them right there.
I know. So, and then big picture, we have this Jones question that now is starting to bubble a little bit more. The whole thing in September and October when, people asked, okay, let's make, Grand Jones takeaways. And what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? So much of it comes down to, okay, what is repeatable? What about stringing performances together, good or bad? I want, the beautiful thing about the NFL season is you get 17 weeks of the evidence. Well, now lately, we've had, I would argue, 3 straight games with some Jones questions. Turnovers, sacks, again, general efficiency when the game was on the line yesterday. Now, obviously, the Colts have made their bed. They know he's the starter. You have no choice, all of that. But, these questions do exist, and we do get more evidence as the rest of the season plays along. And even big picture with your offense, Jones is 60% yesterday, lowest first down total of the year, lowest total yardage of the year, and, easily should have been picked once, if not twice. So I think that probably covers everything I wanted to get to Jones and Steichen related. Do you have any more Jones, Steichen, Jonathan Taylor usage?
When you look at the 3 losses, what's the theme in all of them? Between the Rams loss, the Steelers loss, and yesterday with the Chiefs.
Yeah, are you going with Taylor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really try to evaluate each game individually.
That's part of it, but the other part of it too, Daniel Jones has had, really bad performances in each of those 3 games. You had the turnovers against Pittsburgh, a couple turnovers against the Rams.
Right. Yeah, Rams wasn't as egregious, but yeah, certainly I can hear you out a little bit.
You had a chance to win it late, and you throw a pick.
I'd have to go back with Pittsburgh. I largely thought Pittsburgh the run game had proven to be largely ineffective, even when you did give the second half, fourth quarter touches to Taylor. I didn't think it was as egregious as this. The 8 straight passes.
Mm-hmm.
And again, to me, it's 3 levels, Eddie. 1, it's taking away your best player who thrives after halftime. 2, it's asking Daniel Jones. Shane Steichen asked Daniel Jones to do a lot there. Now, to some people, that should be a fair expectation of your quarterback. That's fine. I can hear you out on that. But if I've got the choice of one of the two, I'm not throwing to Tyler Goodson with the season on the line. If that's kind of the thought process that I have with that. And then again, 3, it goes back to the clock. And you can run the clock in other ways. Hey, here's our swing screen to whatever, downs or Warren. The Colts thought their perimeter run game would be effective on Sunday. And, I don't know, maybe call 3rd and 1 with Nelson pulling a bit of a perimeter run, but they really couldn't get anything going there. So, again, I largely think he's a good play caller. He got Gardner Minshew and the Colts to get to 20 points seemingly every game.
Yeah.
I mean, how great was 3rd and 1 to Doolin?
Yeah.
I mean, he gets Warren wide-ass open seemingly every game. It's just, at times, I think it's just a hair to what I thought of on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And I get there's a fine line in that. But, like, A.D. Mitchell throwing it back to Anthony Richardson in Denver.
Yeah.
Again, Goodson with the season on the line. And then yesterday, it's just I understand there are some heavy boxes. Trust me. I saw that. But there is a little bit with Taylor that he has proven to be better than that at times. And even if it doesn't necessarily work in that situation, the worst part of that would have been, hey, you are running some clock here. You aren't turning the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jones should have had at least 1, if not 2 picks in that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And, to me, I probably point to the drive backed up as way too risky. And then the drive at midfield. When he threw the ball into triple coverage, I thought that was a moment. I believe that was 3 straight passes on that drive. I thought that was the exact opportunity to burn a little bit of clock there.
The final thing that you did not like, the penalties. The Colts commit 11 in the loss yesterday for 83 yards, and they were just all egregious.
Well, and when I say penalties, man, I mean the officiating crew. I thought it stunk.
Yep.
I'm not a big official guy. I thought the refs were awful.
That's one of my least favorite crews.
Oh. So
I don't know his name, but I was like, ugh.
That's the crew that throws the most flags in the NFL. I saw Nate Taylor tweet that during the game.
Yep.
They were awful. And to be clear on the roughing the passer, that to me I have more of an issue with letter of the law.
Which one? Are you talking about the Grover one or the Latu one?
Grover. Yeah. Latu, okay, whatever. I don't love it, to be clear, but whatever. We're trying to save, was it? Was it Carson Palmer got hit in the playoff game?
It was it Palmer or was it Brady?
No, I'm sure it was Brady as well, but I seem to go back to Palmer. But anyways, the body weight, what the hell is Grover Stewart supposed to? You want him to inject himself with Ozempic every game to try and all of a sudden avoid falling on Mahomes? He's a 330-pound individual. I think it's the dumbest rule. I think it's right up there with ejecting guys for targeting. Even
Gene Steratore was like, I sympathize with the defensive players.
Yes, could not agree more. So that to me is not necessarily the officiating crew, more the letter of the law. I mean, I thought a lot of it was weak. I mean, I thought it was downs should have been a flag on downs on the illegal hands or whatever it was when, I don't know if Jones checked out of that play or what. I thought it was a weak face mask penalty that knocked the Chiefs touchdown off the board. I didn't agree with the OPI on Kelsey there late in the game.
But Kelsey did. He agreed with it.
Which was kind of odd. I mean, yeah. I don't know why. I don't. Yeah, that one was confusing me. I thought Jermaine Pratt got away with a little bit of a hold on the running back coming out of the backfield on one of those. So, I just thought the officiating crew stunk.
What do you think of the pass rush before we transition to what you did like? Because we talked about it after you acquire for Sauce Gardner. There's going to be these coverage sacks between him and Mooney Ward and Kenny Moore. There were none of those yesterday.
Yeah, so I largely think when you face Mahomes, you're reaching into the filing cabinet for something very specific. Now, if you want me to answer the question, I didn't think the pass rush was particularly effective at all. Like, every time I'm watching Kwity Paye rush, Eddie, I just feel like he's engaging with the offensive tackle, and the offensive tackle stymies him. That's how I see those rushes going. Now, I mean, again, is the plan with Mahomes like, hey, don't rush upfield, keep him confined in that pocket, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he does such a great job of extension. I mean, we know that full well. It's been his entire career. I don't know. I guess to move over to the defense, I mean, you forced Mahomes into check down Charlie. They were 1 of 6 in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
How great were the Latu and Franklin turnovers? I mean, the Latu interception is just an insane athletic play. I love Anarumo dialing that up and that, hey, we have them backed up. They're going to want to get rid of the ball quick. Let's take our best pass rusher. Let's get him into one of those quick rhythm windows, and let's see what happens. And he has Rice. If you look at it, he's got Rice.
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes. But boom, there's Latu making just an exceptional play. That's 7 points. And then obviously Franklin, has that huge strip there. I thought the game was largely over after that. So I felt that the defense largely did enough. There is part of me that's like, if you would have told me on Friday, Eddie, Mahomes is going to throw for the most passing yards he has had in 35 straight games,
mm-hmm.
I'd have been like, really? Against this secondary? Are you sure?
They did it in the unconventional way.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that is probably a good way to put it.
Because if you look at just how they've performed, like this year, they have not attacked the middle of the field like at all. It's been all downfield or it's been checkdowns. Like that's been their offense through the passing game. And then the Colts went full man and they're like, all right, we're just going to run a blank ton of, crossing routes and drags and picks and all this other stuff. And next thing you know, you've got Rashee Rice going for over 100 yards on just yards after catch.
And again, the offense gave them 0 complimentary help in the fourth quarter. 0. Can I still say I don't love giving up a 90-yard drive with the game on the line?
Yeah, you can say that.
So, again, that's just a little bit of a frustrating element to it. But, the defense, I don't want to. There's a reason why I haven't mentioned it until a half hour into this podcast. I want to be clear that, the blame isn't that big, and the Mahomes file, I think, is different than a lot of teams. And I don't expect Houston, even with C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins, to come in here and do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Colts should be built to slow that down.
Let's shift now to what you did. Like you mentioned, Latu. He had the pick early that set the Colts up with that first and goal from like the 2-yard line. I thought both linebackers were fantastic, both Zaire Franklin and Jermaine Pratt yesterday. But you single out Latu and Zaire.
Yeah, just those are huge, huge, huge plays, particularly if the result is different. I know directly they didn't turn itself into points, but Eddie, call those, 7 for Latu, I would say. And then on the Franklin play, that's a 3-7 play. So right there, that's 10 to 14 points. However you want to look at that. And the Colts got on the football too. That was a bouncing football on the Hunt fumble that could have gone either way there. So, I know Zaire, mentioned or had a couple of missed tackles early, but I thought he made some nice plays as the game moved along. And I believe the announcer said that was the Chiefs' first lost fumble of the season as well. So that kind of adds to it. So it seems like it's risky to live off those sorts of plays, but it does seem like the Colts find those plays more than I can recall them finding. I mean, Latu now has 3 of them. Think about Cam Bynum in Germany. Those sorts of plays, it seems like this team has done a great job of finding them throughout the season. So, I wanted to make sure that I singled those out as stuff I liked.
And then the special teams. I think this is the first time we've put the special teams in this category in the season.
Shout out Brian Mason, special teams coordinator. I mean, That man is psychotic when it comes to dissecting the special teams. I think I've told the story before. He was at Notre Dame prior to coming here. People at Notre Dame raved about him, and were, you don't see it often, necessarily a college special teams coordinator immediately going to the NFL. I don't think him and Steichen had any direct ties prior to that. I just think the Colts are creating so much hidden yardage in both the coverage and the return game. Obviously, you had the big plays recently, kick return wise, but Anthony Gould had a couple nice punt returns yesterday, him back in the lineup. And I just think their coverage units are so sound. There's so many different guys, really. Goodson, Ogletree, Laquan Treadwell, obviously Doolin. You hope that his hamstring injury isn't anything too severe there. And Rigoberto Sanchez continues to be an absolute weapon when it comes to punting the football. How big was that punt he had out of his own end zone?
Uh-huh.
And the coverage you got off of that. So, again, I know it's not the most eye-popping thing necessarily to talk about, but I feel like the Colts are saving or creating, I'd call it 5-ish first downs a game based off their special teams. I think you got a couple off the return game yesterday, and I think you had a couple, limiting or making Kansas City get an extra first down offensively based off what you did with your coverage unit. So great work. Great work.
Anything else you want to add on what you like before we get into Twitter questions?
No, I just think you need to target Alec Pierce a few more times.
I agree.
2. I think right now, if I am Shane Steichen, each week, and Warren is knocking on the door of this, but I would think to myself as a game planner, I think it's coming to the point where Taylor needs X amount of touches in the second half, and Pierce needs X amount of targets a game.
Mm-hmm.
Those players possess special traits, game-breaking traits. Naturally, I think Warren's going to find. I mean, how many did Warren have yesterday? Was it 5 catches?
I think so.
Like, naturally, Warren's going to get his. But more than Pittman, more than Downs, more than the other tight ends, I just think Taylor in the second half and then Pierce overall is necessary.
Yeah, 5 for 45 for Warren, 5 for 27 and a touchdown for Pittman, 1 for 26 on those 2 targets for Pierce, and then Downs 2 for 10 and 6 targets.
Yeah, Mo Alley Cox out-snapping Downs was a bit odd to me.
Mm-hmm. Just felt like Josh Downs was only in there on those third downs.
Yeah, and you would think more Mo Alley Cox would have been more run-focused, but I don't know.
Let's get into Twitter questions, starting with Isaac. Why does Shane Steichen forget he has the best running back in the league seemingly every week? He is so quick to abandon the run.
Yeah, and this gets in the overall debate, Isaac, about players over plays. And I think I've said this throughout the podcast, but to reiterate it, I'm good with a little wrinkle for a guy or two. Again, Doolin on 3rd and 1. Like, I think that's what makes Shane Steichen a really strong play caller, is dialing some of that stuff up. But when he says throw to score, run to win,
mm-hmm.
and then goes against it, and I thought he let Kansas City off the hook. Prove to me you can still stop him in the fourth quarter. Prove to me. Because I have a guy right here that can make people miss. That's special.
Yeah.
That's a home run hitter. And it's not like Daniel Jones was hot. I mean, like, Daniel Jones' stats were fine at halftime, but did you get the impression he was a hot quarterback? No. I mean, he had a nice, methodical dink and dunk largely first couple quarters. And then if you want to play the clock game, that could have been part of it as well.
Yeah. Jacob, by the way, I thought Tony Romo was, when at halftime they were coming out to start the second half, and he made the comment about, the Colts, this is going to be all on Daniel Jones here in the second half because, you've utilized the stuff that you had the bye week to prepare in the first half, and now it's all on you to figure it out because he was like, he cited that you used Mo Alley Cox in the first half, to catch your pass. You used Ogletree in the end zone. You used Doolin on a big catch. So, he felt like that Shane Steichen had used the plays that he had schemed up. You're like, hey, you're not looking for this. And next thing you know, it was all on, what you've put on tape in that entire second half, and the Chiefs just had the answers for it.
I heard that comment as well, and my thought is, okay, well then ride your horse.
Yeah.
Or give your horse, a couple more touches. Really, if you want to go back to it, Eddie, after the 27-yard run, there's a little bit even there where you start to go away with that as well.
Yeah. Jacob's question. I'm upset about losing to the Chiefs. To me, this was a prove-it game. Are you elite or not game? If you want to be the best, you have to be able to beat the best. And I just feel like the Colts squandered this opportunity. Am I overreacting, or are the Colts going to go back to mediocrity now? Thanks for all you guys do.
Jacob, thank you for the question, man. I hear you. I get, Eddie, if you look at the schedule, I guess oddly, your 3 losses are all the Hall of Fame quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
Stafford, Rodgers, and Mahomes, and I get those quarterbacks had some different games within those. But, you look at the schedule the rest of the way, I don't know if you face any elite quarterbacks. I'd say you face some slightly above average quarterbacks, and we're really going to tier some QBs out. Stroud, Lawrence, we'll see about San Francisco, I assume Purdy, and then, of course, Darnold. So, that's where I kind of look at it right now. I'll go back to what I said earlier. Obviously, you'd rather have the Texans win than this. I get psychologically, some people might rather have the Kansas City win because maybe it carries more weight winning at Arrowhead and against Mahomes. But I think when you haven't won a division title in a decade, you have to start there. And maybe we got too greedy. Maybe they got too greedy in kind of how the AFC South was viewed. And, Jacob, you will likely have another opportunity like this. If the playoffs started today, you'd host Jacksonville. Does that sound right?
Sure.
Gosh, it's crazy to think the Ravens are now back atop the AFC North.
Saw it coming.
Just like that. They are back. So you might be hosting Allen and the Bills round 1. Now, I do think yesterday really hurt where you're at from a number 1 seed standpoint. And so, that I do think is probably a frustrating element to it.
You'd be hosting Buffalo.
Buffalo is the 6th seed?
Buffalo's the 7. The top seed gets the bye, remember? So 2 plays 8, right?
Right, but Denver's the 2, right? Denver at 9-2.
Yeah, Buffalo.
Denver's the 2, the Colts are the 3, right?
Yeah, Pittsburgh's 8. So when Denver play Pittsburgh, the Colts would play Buffalo?
So 1 gets the bye, 2 plays 7, correct?
2 would play 8.
Only 7 make it.
I thought 8 did. I'm an idiot. Yeah,
One team gets the bye.
Why am I thinking there's 8?
I don't know. 8 would seem to be normal in the NBA, I guess. 8 in the NBA. Maybe.
MLB? That's probably why. But yeah, you're right.
So it goes 1 bye, 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5.
Thanks for educating me today, Kevin.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. The NFL, they changed it up right around the COVID year. And that's why the bye, I think, is so important. Because there's only one team that gets out of that wild card weekend there. So, yeah, Jacob, again, I understand where you're coming from, and I get there's not tons of these opportunities that do prevent themselves, but let's not think for a second here. There's not other massive games the rest of the season.
Right.
It might not be Mahomes and Reed and Arrowhead, but there are some huge games the rest of the year to earn the right to potentially have another one of these.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for correcting me there, Kevin, by the way. Chris would like to know, why is it that Shane Steichen doesn't understand certain adjustments? If you know the defense is blitzing, why not bring a better counter to beat it?
Yeah, and I guess this is the other side of the fourth quarter from yesterday, Eddie. If you want to look at it numerically, there are some people that sit there and say, hey, throwing it was the right idea. So, when you have 8 straight passes, what do they have? 13 yards on those 8 passes?
Yeah.
I believe that's what it, and this gets back to the Daniel Jones thing here. Is like, wait, you're telling me on 4 straight drives, you couldn't get 1 first down? And we grade quarterbacks more in the fourth quarter. And this falls back into our conversation we had a little bit earlier of, you more worried about Shane Steichen or you more worried about Daniel Jones? I'd argue Jones. Steichen can control a little bit of the play calling.
Especially since you committed 2 first-round picks.
Right. You have made your bet.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is here. Who is he? That's what we're starting to find out. What tier? I just got into the tiers of quarterbacks you've got in the final 6 games. Where is he at? And part of it is contractually. Yeah, I am curious about that. But part of it is because, do you have a guy that you feel like you can be in January football and win in January football with?
Where'd you get that hat?
I found it online. I got fed into one of those Instagram ads.
Really?
Yeah, the hat is big third down here. I cannot tell you how many times I yell that to Maddie Bowen, and she probably is like, yeah, I get it. Aren't they all big? By the way, did you see Andrew Luck's reaction?
That was great.
I loved it in the Stanford game.
Yeah.
And I one thing I know about Andrew Luck, that man hates Notre Dame. Hates them.
Really?
He's going to want blood come Saturday night. That was awesome to watch.
It was.
Shout out to Frank Reich.
Not 2 games left, but 2 Twitter questions left. Hey, KB, after hearing Mooney Ward describe how he thought he might have been done with football due to his last concussion, is this something that pushed the Sauce Gardner trade even more? Glad Mooney is feeling better. Go Colts. Never missed a pod. Appreciate all your hard work.
Justin, second to none. We are thankful for all of you here, but especially the loyal ones here. We appreciate it. We know there's tons of podcasts to listen to. Great podcasts out there. So thank you for that. Yeah, let's get into Mooney Ward right here, Eddie. And I want to go back to Friday. He cleared concussion protocol, met the media. I appreciate his transparency, and at the same time, it was a bit jarring listening to him describe his concussion symptoms. Basically, he called the first one more of a migraine. He called the second one run into Ogletree. He said he was knocked out, said he had dizziness for multiple weeks, and puking. And he thought to himself, will I ever play football again? So, I mean, those are some big symptoms in a big conversation. Boy, I got nervous when he took that hit yesterday, Eddie.
I did too.
I believe he clarified after the game. He told the guys boots on the ground there in Kansas City that it was more of a hit to the chest than a helmet, but damn. Oh gosh. I want to turn off injuries for everybody, but especially that guy. Yeah. Now, how did it impact the trade? That's a good question. Buckner, of course, he had the neck injury that played in this. By the way, Shane Steichen feels very optimistic on Buckner returning this season. I think that was maybe a nugget lost on Friday that I wanted to make sure we snuck in here. As far as Ward is concerned, he said he really didn't start feeling better until the bye. Well, the bye was after the Gardner trade. So I don't know. I don't think you make such a massive franchise-altering move just because of injury or health statuses on DeForest Buckner and Mooney Ward. Like, those are some, you better believe in the player, you better believe in the quarterback, and the player being Gardner. All that. By the way, Sauce Gardner doesn't strike me as a guy that wants to tackle.
That is that was one of the problems with him in New York.
Yeah. They're not paying him to tackle. I'm just so used to Colts corners being good tacklers. And so watching him try and tackle is a little bit different for me. That was wild to frankly listen to Mooney Ward describe all of that there.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty eye-opening because when you look around the league, I mean, the guy that I immediately thought of was Chris Olave with New Orleans. Like, the guy had 4 concussions or 5 concussions in the previous 2 seasons combined, and it's just like, whoa.
You think that at times about Ryan Kelly, lately with all the ones he's got piled up? Any concern, Houston, 10 days off, Colts defense just played 90 snaps?
I hope not.
Yeah.
You got time to rest between.
Colts will go walk through Wednesday, by the way. They, we've seen them under Steichen. I think a lot of teams now start to do this, kind of adopt a little bit of the walkthrough mindset late in the season on a Wednesday. So they'll go walk through Wednesday, early practice Thanksgiving Thursday as they return home. Weirdly, it's their only home game in a 7-week stretch.
Yeah, I know Tampa Bay's been doing that for the last month just because of how depleted they've been. I know San Francisco's done the same for the last couple of weeks as well because they've had so many injuries, but they're starting to get healthier. Final Twitter question is from Benji. I'm starting to think Jim Bob Cooter would make a great head coach. If the Colts keep winning, he might get a shot. How would you rate his chances and or potential? Secondly, my brother-in-law, Patrick, is now a regular listener of the podcast. Will you give him a shout-out? Yes, Benji. Thank you for listening. Patrick, what took you so long?
Patrick, let's go. Thank you very much for listening. Benji, as always, as loyal as they come. We appreciate that. Jim Bob, brainy dude. I think Peyton would sign off on it. I think Matthew Stafford would probably sign off on it. I've said this before about the whole non-play caller, hiring a non-play caller as a head coach. You can point to times it's worked. You can point to times that it hasn't worked. With Sirianni, I remember saying this. I do think when Sirianni took the job in Philly, I did think, okay, the whole leader of men, I do feel like Sirianni has that attribute necessarily to him. With Jim Bob, it's a little bit more of an unsure just based off his personality. And again, I'm not going to pretend to know the dude super, super well, but I do think that's an important quality that if I were making hires, I would have hesitancy about non-play callers. What's his name in Tennessee? Callahan. It kind of just fell into that same boat there. And again,
there are a lot of issues with Callahan.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of these guys work out. I am curious about Lou Anarumo. Do we see him? Does he fall back into the coaching cycle? I know his name's been thrown around with New York. I think he was with New York for a year. Does that name get thrown around a little bit there? But yeah, I guess I saw Jim Bob's name was mentioned, I think, on one of those coaching lists. So about time for those things to get back underway. Would the Colts just promote Alex Tanney? Is that what they would do?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Reggie Wayne, would they promote him? Tony Soprano Jr.? Could you promote him?
Yeah, those are options. Mike Kafka going to do it all in New York now. He's going to be the head coach, OC and DC.
Did he fire Bowen?
Yeah, they fired Bowen. I don't know if that. Yeah, by the way, would that be him firing Shane Bowen or would that be Joe Shane?
Yeah, that's a good question. All right, you got anything else?
I've got nothing. Have a great Thanksgiving.
All right, Colts Texans coming up this week. We will have your coverage 107.5 The Fan. Again, probably a short pod we'll come back with on Wednesday. But yes, for those that are not going to be tuning in our second pod of the week, safe travels. Everybody have a great, great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the awesome slate coming up Thursday and Friday. We'll talk to you next. It is Colts Corner with Kevin Bowen signing off.